The bulletin is live on DSTV channel 279. We're also streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana, where you can join us with your thoughts and comments. Government says it expects the cost of electricity to reduce in the coming weeks as it has renegotiated power agreements with 5 independent power producers. This comes barely 24 hours after IPPs demanded immediate payment from government to avoid power outages, but the finance minister is hopeful the implementation of the new deal will result in reliable and cheaper power supply. Christian Yali has more.
The cost of doing business and several livelihoods were severely impacted by unannounced power outages recently. Calls for load-shedding timetable were strongly dismissed by the then Energy Minister amid a rising power sector debt. Finance Minister Mohammed Amin Adam says government has renegotiated power deals with independent producers to shore up the country's energy capacity.
The independent power producers threaten every day that they will shut down, and this government doesn't want to do so. And so, to further reduce the cost of power, we decided that we will have to negotiate with the contractors to reduce the cost of power. 5 independent power producers have reached agreement with the government. And once we sign off and we implement these new contracts, it is going to save Ghana $6.6 billion United States dollars.
Ghana's economy has been faced with its toughest challenges in decades, characterized by high inflation, which peaked at a 22-year high of 54.1% in 2022. Unstable currency, high interest rate, slow economic growth, and an unsustainable public debt left untold hardships that even caused foreign companies to withdraw their services from the country. Following the IMF post-COVID program, the finance minister says growth is now here.
The IMF knew that we could not grow, and so they put our growth target at 1.5%. But you know what we did? Because of the resilience of the economy, because of our policies, we defied the odds, and we grew at 2.9%.
And once again, he did not shy away from reminding Ghanaians that the economy has turned the corner.
In 18 months, we have brought inflation down from 54% to 22%.
The minister also touched on Ghana's debt to GDP ratio, which he says that when you compare the current rate to what was the case in 2015, this government has performed better.
In fact, in 2015, go and look at the data, Ghana's debt to GDP ratio was 72%. And today, as I speak to you, our debt to GDP has gone down to 70.6%. 70.6%, which is far better than what we recorded in 2015.
Now, the Greater Accra Regional Minister says his region has had a fair share of what government is doing. He talks about roads, talks about infrastructure, education, judiciary, and massive projects that have been embarked on in this region alone by this government.
Under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo and Haraji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we haven't done much. When you look about infrastructure, there are people who were doubting us. They said we can't do it. I will prove them wrong, that it is possible. Today, when you look at projects that government has done across the country, it tells you that our money is being put in good use. So let nobody deceive us.
By November this year, government expects to hold similar town hall meetings across the country aimed at tracking its performance and achievement. Christian Yali, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, energy analyst and private legal practitioner Richmond Roxon says government must take steps to tackle outstanding debts with independent power producers if it is to fulfill its promise of making electricity cheaper. He says further clarity is needed in the agreement brokered between government and the independent power producers.
The government continues to default on its monthly commitment. There's power theft, there's non-payment of utility used, commercial losses as well. So there are several problems in the chain, the electricity production chain, that affect the price of electricity. So the government may have done well or would do well to renegotiate the price of power with these IPPs. But if the other sectors are not dealt with, at the end of the day, the problem will still persist. forget that the IPPs are still producing power to ECG, which means that the current debt is recurring. Every month we are incurring new debt. So by the end of August now, by the time we get to December, we will not be looking at $2 billion again. The power debt would have gone up. So that single component will not help. But the most important thing is that the government must stop defaulting and must get ECG to be very efficient. Because once ECG is efficient, and it reduces the losses within the supply chain.
Meanwhile, the finance minister has apologized to Ghanaians for the struggle and difficulties induced by the domestic debt exchange program. Although it was necessary, Mohamed Amin Adam says the apology is necessary to assure Ghanaians that the government meant well in its fiscal consolidation.
The domestic debt exchange program was a very successful program, achieving 95% participation. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us. To forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. It was a necessary, very important decision at the time that if we avoided it, our economy will not recover such as it has recovered today. But also to thank you, the people of Ghana, to thank you on behalf of the president for the sacrifices, for the efforts that you all have made in participating in the domestic debt exchange program that saved our economy. And so I thank you very much for that support you gave to the government.
A founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Kwadwo Tamako, has called on President Kwadwo to apologize to Ghanaians for the economic hardship currently being experienced in the country. This comes following Asen Central MP Kennedy Japong stating that the governing NPP stands a better chance of winning the December polls if it apologizes for its management of the economy. Dr. Kwadwo Tamako has been speaking to my colleague Evelyn Tingwa on this matter.
The Asen Central MP had urged the governing NPP to apologize to Ghanaians for its handling of the economy. Togbi Dr. Kwadwo Tamako, however, believes the call should rather be directed at the president and not the NPP.
There are people who don't even have a meal a day. They live on water, and even water is a problem. So their call for an apology means a lot in politics. But the apology to me should have come from the government itself, not the members of the party. The members of the party didn't create a situation in which we find ourselves now. The president, as Nkrumah used to do years ago when I was a child, he should come out with a dawn broadcast, as Nkrumah did, for all Ghanaians to listen to his apology. They gave us promises which has not been fulfilled, assurances which never came, democracy itself, which is the foundation of our party, has been grossly destroyed.
He says the strength of the masses should not be underestimated.
What happened in Bangladesh just yesterday has come to prove my point again. The masses move. There's nothing you can do. So please, our leaders should listen to the cries of the people.
Bawumia cannot investigate the government he was a part of. Reason the NPP is desperate to hand over government to him. Those were the words of former President John Dramani Mahama as he wraps up his 4-day campaign in the Bolga Central constituency of the Upper East region. Take a look.
Over these last 8 years, a lot of corruption has happened. Over these last 8 years, a lot of stealing has happened. Over these last 8 years, a lot of misappropriation has happened. Now what this government wants to do is to bring their vice president as the next president so that he can cover up for them. so that they cannot be investigated. Bawumia cannot investigate Akufo-Addo's government. Bawumia cannot investigate a government of which he was part of. And so they are desperate to have him so that they'll escape the day of accountability. That is not going to happen. Ezu, NDC is going to win, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Away from your election command center, the Okada Riders Association of Ghana is raising concerns about harassment suffered by members at the hands of the police. They believe conduct has the potential to threaten their source of livelihood. Esam Daniel Koku, a 42-year-old Okada rider in Accra, has spent nearly a decade riding through the bustling streets on his motorcycle. But 7 years ago, a nightmarish encounter with a police officer turned his life upside down. Daniel recalls that fateful day vividly.
After the battle before park, one of the policemen pushed me into the gutter. And I was in the gutter like, let me say 10 minutes before I come out. When I come out, I started talking like I'm not normal again. And one of the police took me to counter. He took me to the counter, and the person that is the counter, he said he will not take me. He will send me go hospital before bringing me back. And he come and put me at the gate, at the Medina police station gate. He didn't carry me go hospital. I was bleeding, he didn't carry me.
The scars on his knees and thighs bear testament of the brutality he endured, leaving him with chronic internal pains and a permanent limp on his left leg. Despite returning to the Okada business, Daniel's spirit is dampened by the memory of his wife, leaving him during his recovery.
My legs swallow bigger more than me. Yeah. So when I go there, they used to operate here and put cotton inside. I suffer a lot. My wife left me because I used to stay in hospital long, and she's tired because I can't do anything. Lying down, my food, bathing me, everything on bed. I cry because we have 2 children.
Ametodo Emmanuel, another Okada rider, had his own distressing experience with a police officer on July 21, 2024. Humiliated and desperate, Amedoto recounts how the officer seized his phone and transferred 3,700 Ghana cedis to himself before letting him go.
I watch me see I open I see me here in Obomasu.
The police stopped me and started slapping me. They told me to keep quiet while I was on his motorbike, saying they were taking me to the office. Together with some of his colleagues, they took me to an unknown location and shocked me with a shocker and asked for my mobile money pin. They transferred 3,700 cedis to a phone and left me somewhere I didn't know.
Justice Solomon Ofei, 43, also shares a chilling experience of police intimidation. He was threatened with being labeled a wanted armed robber unless he complied with the officer's demands for compensation.
Said that he can shoot me and write a statement that wanted armed robber. We are all trying to get a daily bread for ourselves because government sector alone cannot contain all of us.
The Okada Riders Association of Ghana acknowledges the essential role of the police in maintaining law and order. However, they emphasize the need for officers to perform their duties with professionalism and respect for the rights of Okada riders. Even though their business remains illegal in the country, they are hoping it will be legalized soon to reduce such torments. Enough is enough, according to them, saying that they are going to hide cameras within their premises and record any misconduct from any police official at all. And they will make sure that these videos will be sent to the police IGP so that all these maltreatments from the police officials will come to an end. Godwin Asideba, TV3 News, Accra. The National Commission on Culture has outlined plans to foster unity among political parties to ensure a peaceful election as the country heads to the December polls. At a media launch, the inauguration of the National Planning Committee for the 2024 National Festival of Art and Culture, the Commission stated that plans are far advanced to organize a major cultural activity to foster national unity.
The National Festival of Art and Culture is a lively celebration that showcases cultural displays from all 16 regions of Ghana. Each region presents its unique culture and tradition, with the presence of regional ministers and paramount chiefs adding to the event's impressiveness. At the official launch of the 2024 edition of the festival, Executive Director of the National Commission on Culture, Nana Otio Echiampon, urged the public to use the platform to promote national unity.
In this our election year, we believe that NAFAC should become and would be the catalyst to promote and spearhead our unity, oneness as we go into election, before, during, and after the election. I believe that if you belong to MPP, I belong to CPP, we want to use our culture to say that we are one people.
This year's festival will take place at Techiman in the Bono East Regional Capital from October 25 to October 31. Bono East Regional Minister Kwesi Edujan said security agencies in the region are ready to ensure a successful event.
We are promising a very peaceful atmosphere. Security will be a key, and we hope that during that period we will showcase the peace and stability that prevails in the Bono East region.
This year's celebration is themed Beyond NAFAC at 60, Harnessing Culture, the pivot for Ghana's democracy and sustainable development. The week-long celebration is held every 2 years, and the 2024 edition will feature a range of activities including a grand durbar of chiefs, the people of Techiman, and the rest of the country.
Children as low as 4 years are being exposed to the dangers of the Accra Motorway amid the rapid development of slums along the highway. Equally worrying are the risk of fire damage and criminals using these settlements as hideouts to commit crimes on the stretch.
The Tema West Municipal Assembly, in its major demolition exercise in 2019, demolished over 200 makeshift structures along the Accra Motorway. Few years after, the structures are back. A bigger challenge is the threat it poses to the motorway reconstruction and expansion project, which is underway but has stalled for the last 2 months. The slum is inhabited by hundreds of persons who mostly sell along the motorway and engage in menial jobs.
So these are some of the makeshift structures that are making up the slum along the Accra Motorway, and an occupant in this structure can be paying between 120 and 150 Ghana cedis. Well, you know, rent in the capital is quite on the high, and so for them, it really comes in handy.
Children of these slum dwellers are exposed to the dangers of the highway. It is even worse when there is no supervision when crossing the stretch. In all these, high cost of living is making matters worse.
Yeah, sometimes how you go cross the road safe, you make hard for you for cross. So the kiddies safe, sometimes more times them they feel for them to cross, but how them go cross go that side, you make unless maybe you did the road top, then go hold them hands, then you take them cross. For me, as I stay here for 2 years, it passed here. So me, I see what is happening for around everything.
So I'm baby, and they're very good. Because of
government must ensure they are relocated because renting is a big issue. The dangers at hand are gross, and it only requires government intervention.
At any time.
Transport consultant Cecil Lebo Gabra finds it worrying.
You cannot control these squatters now. If they couldn't have stopped them, then they can't stop them now because they come in batches, and I understand they came from Sodom and Gomorrah area. And these people hardened. I mean, this is where we have all the criminals coming from. So I encourage the Greater Accra Minister to, as soon as possible, relocate them. You would not believe it that even cables that are supposed to manage the street lights have been stolen.
He called on government to ensure some agencies attached to the motorway reconstruction and expansion project.
I had my share. Last week, I burst my tie in the evening. And honestly speaking, I was very, very scared. It was around 8 o'clock. Lo and behold, 3 cars had the same problem. And what is it? This is iron rods that have, come out from the concrete. So the motorway has elapsed its usage. We need to find solutions to it.
A lot have welcomed the reconstruction and expansion of the Accra motorway as a move to control some of these pressing challenges and the bigger concern of incessant road crashes. George Quinn, TV3 News, Accra motorway.
We are definitely going to be keeping an eye on that particular stretch. And thank you so much for making me a part of your time this morning. For more news update, kindly log on to www.3news.com. My name is Godwin Asidiba. New Day continues shortly. Stay with us. See you soon. Bye-bye.